So in this video we will discuss second chapter, sexual reproduction in flowering plants. And before I start my video, we will recapitulate the parts of flower. Please subscribe and share video with your friends. Thank you. So let's study the development of male gametophyte today. This is the flower, structure of flower you have studied in your lower classes, and this portion is called the anther and this is the filament. So anther and filament together, they are called the stamens. Okay, so we will study about this part only, what is inside this anther and how this anther is going to develop male gametes. Okay, so let's study. Anther is a bilobe structure. These two are bilobes, two lobes, bilobes. So these lobes of the anther, actually they have four chambers. These are two, uh, in each lobe there are two thecas, so this anther is called the dithecous anther. Okay, so inside the anther, the male gametes are going to develop in the pollen grains, and pollen, these are also called the pollen sacs, or they are also called the microsporangia. Okay, so let's study it in detail. In the young anther, you can see there are outermost layer is called the epidermis. Here you can see this is the layer, this is the outermost layer, it is called the epidermis. Below the epidermis there are 2-3 layers, which are called the middle layers. Okay, so before that there is a layer called the endothecium. This endothecium layer is the layer for when there is dehiscence of the anther. When this anther is going to dehisce, it breaks it to release the pollen grains, then this layer is going to come, this layer is going to produce some thickenings and it becomes dry and helps in dehiscence. Then there are nutritive layers, 2-3 middle layers, and the innermost layer is called the tapetum. This tapetum is the innermost layer, and it is the nutritive layer. It provides nourishment to the growing microspore mother cells, which will produce pollen grains. So inside you can see the sporogenous mass. Inside the young anther there is sporogenous mass, or you can call them the microspore mother cells. These are the microspore mother cells. In innermost layer is the microspore mother cell. Now these microspore mother cells, they are these microspore mother cells, they are diploid. They will undergo meiosis to produce the tetrads. Like this, they will produce tetrads. Three you can see on one side, one is at the back, so you'll not be able to see, and one pollen will be breaking after they are released in the air. Let's see in the next slide. So here I've shown you a black and white diagram, since you have to draw it. So in the exam, so here you can see the outermost layer is epidermis, then there is endothecium, middle layers, and then there is a connective tissue connecting both the lobes of the anther. So this diagram is for your drawing purpose. This is the mature anther. I told you the tetrads are going to be released. So these tetrads, when they are released in the air from the mature anther, the anther has shown, here you can see the anther is showing dehiscence. So the anther, when it is released, these pollens when they are released, they will be in tetrads. Here you have this diagram. Now these tetrads, they will form the pollen grain. What is a pollen grain? Pollen grain is a microscopic structure. Now what is inside this pollen? The sporogenous mass on meiosis produced tetrads. Tetrads are haploid structures, and each haploid structure is going to become a pollen grain. Here, the outermost layer of the pollen is called the exine. Exine is made up of a substance called sporopollenin. Sporopollenin is the most resistant substance on this earth. It protects the pollen from various temperatures, acids, and also it 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 is the layer which uh, makes it water resistant. So pollen can survive through adverse conditions. Clear? The inner layer is made up of cellulose and pectin, which is called the intine. This is the inner layer. Now inside these there is cytoplasm. Inside this there are two nucleus. One is this nucleus is called the generative nucleus, and this is called the vegetative nucleus. The generative nucleus is surrounded by cytoplasm. Here you can see cytoplasm. So this cytoplasm of the generative nucleus is little. Rest of the cytoplasm is around the vegetative nucleus. Vegetative nucleus is going to produce pollen tube in future. It will produce pollen tube, and the pollen tube will germinate on the stigma through this germ pores. You can see here, you can see germ pores. The germ pores are the unthickened areas in the sporopollenin wall, exine thick wall. So they will help, the pollen tube will come out through this. Clear? Some vacuoles are also seen in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell. So this is the structure of the pollen. The pollen exine is so beautiful. I'll show you. I have some this diagram I have drawn to show you some germinal furrows. You can see here. You can see here in this diagram you can see germ furrows. These furrows are also unthickened areas in the sporopollenin, thick sporopollenin wall, so that the pollen tube can come out. The pollen tube will come out of here. Okay, so this, now I'll show you some pollen grains, so beautiful pollen grains with water resistant sporopollenin layer. So these pollen can survive through various unfavorable conditions, through because they have to move and go to the stigma. They have to move through water, through air, through different agencies. So they have to face so many adverse conditions. So these are the pollens. Now the pollen nowadays, since it is very nutritive, so the pollen is being used as food also. So pollen grains, when they germinate, the two male gametes will be produced from the generative nucleus. We will study later during the fertilization process. So this is all about today's video. Let's please subscribe and share video with the students of class 12. I am going to cover the syllabus. I've already uploaded 24 videos. On genetics I've uploaded 21 videos, and the first chapter I've covered, and now the second chapter is this. So thank you very much.